Canada's immigration system is broken. There's a shocking reality behind these words, one that thousands of immigrants come face to face with within mere months of their arrival in the country. The allure of the Canadian dream often fades into the background as they grapple with unexpected challenges. The Canadian government sets ambitious immigration targets each year, but is the country really ready to welcome this influx of new residents? The high cost of housing, an inefficient healthcare system, and a steep expense-to-income ratio are just a few of the hurdles that immigrants encounter. Imagine stepping off the plane, full of hope and dreams, only to be met with a harsh reality. Let's take housing, for instance. A surge in demand for housing fueled by high immigration targets leads to inflated housing prices, making it nearly impossible for newcomers to find affordable homes. According to the Canadian Real Estate Association, the average national price for a two-bedroom home is close to $700,000. Then there's the high expense-to-income ratio. The cost of living in Canada is significantly higher than the average income, and with new immigrants often landing entry-level jobs, it becomes a daunting task to meet ends. You may think that your income in Canada should be enough to buy a home. Think again. The average income in Canada currently sits at around $68,000 per year. This is not enough to buy an average-priced home even in a dual-income household, meaning that your only option is to rent. The average rent for a two-bedroom apartment is currently at $3,350 per month. So at the end of the month, all your hard-earned money is gone. And let's not forget the broken healthcare system. With an influx of immigrants, the system often finds itself under strain, leading to inefficiencies and longer wait times. It is not uncommon for people to die while waiting to get the medical attention that they so desperately need and for which they paid through their taxes. These factors, originating from the high immigration targets, significantly affect the lives of immigrants, making their Canadian dream a challenging reality, and leaving many wondering, is this the Canadian dream we were promised? And the challenges don't stop there. Canada's unique cultural landscape presents its own set of hurdles. One of the biggest surprises that greet immigrants is the high tax system. It's a remnant of Canada's history of compliance and loyalty to Great Britain. While it's no secret that taxes are a part of life in Canada, the bar is set surprisingly high, with little perceived benefits trickling down to the working class. And the higher the salary, the higher the taxes. This can be shocking, especially for those coming from countries with significantly lower tax rates. Then, even more shockingly, there's the government's aggressive promotion of the LGBTQ agenda. This is a topic that has permeated public spaces and that is being actively imparted to children in school under the banner of diversity and inclusion. For those hailing from countries where such topics are considered private, taboo, or outright unacceptable, this can feel like a significant cultural shift. It's not about being against diversity and inclusion. The problem is the appropriation and misutilization of these terms by the LGBTQ community to justify their deviant agenda. Lastly, let's talk about Canadian politeness. It's a stereotype that's been around for ages. Canadians are nice, right? But beneath the surface, this so-called politeness is nothing but an aversion to confrontation, often manifests itself as passive aggressiveness. Canadians are nice, yes, but only if you agree with them. They perceive disagreement as confrontation, and confrontation, like I said, leads them to become passive-aggressive. Instead of the open and direct communication many immigrants are used to, they are met with a more indirect and often confusing style of interaction. This can lead to misunderstandings and feelings of isolation, adding another layer of complexity to the immigration experience. The cultural shock can be overwhelming, leaving immigrants feeling isolated and misunderstood. These cultural barriers are not just challenging, they are often insurmountable, leading to a sense of disappointment among immigrants. The dream, it seems, is not what they thought it would be. The disappointment stemming from a jolting cultural shock, along with the frustration due to financial struggles and inefficient healthcare that are rooted in unreadiness for the volume of immigrants coming into Canada, results in 30% of newcomers leaving within 2 years. Don't just take our word for it. Listen to the experiences of those who have walked this path before. We compiled stories from other immigrants, but we won't disclose their real identities out of respect for their privacy. Meet Ananya, who moved from India with hopes of a better future. She was bright-eyed and full of dreams, but was met with the harsh reality of the high cost of living. Ananya's dreams were quickly overshadowed by the towering rent bills and the never-ending cycle of frustration when realizing that her paychecks barely covered her basic needs. Then there's Carlos, originally from Mexico, who was shocked by the inefficiency of the healthcare system. Carlos had to wait months for a simple medical procedure, a delay that caused him unnecessary discomfort and stress. His experience was a far cry from the advanced healthcare system he had envisioned. Now, let's hear from Fatima, a single mother from Nigeria. Fatima struggled to provide for her children due to the high expense-to-income ratio. She worked multiple jobs, yet still found it challenging to make ends meet. Fatima's story is a stark reminder of the economic strain that many immigrants face in Canada. Transitioning to cultural challenges, meet Igor from Ukraine. Igor felt the sting of Canada's high taxes, which seemed to yield little benefit for him and his family. He found it hard to understand why he was paying such high taxes, yet struggling to meet his family's basic needs despite making $75,000 a year. And then there's May from China, who felt alienated by the deep-seated cultural dislike for Chinese people in Canada, a dislike that stems from the frustration of Canadians with the high real estate prices that are largely being driven by Chinese real estate investing corporations. Although May understood the rationale behind the dislike, she never felt safe in Canada, so she went back to China. Lastly, we have Ahmed from Egypt, who found Canadians' aversion to confrontation perplexing. He felt this passive aggressiveness was not the politeness it was often mistaken for, but an indirect defense mechanism that made communication difficult. Further, Ahmed's values did not align with the LGBTQ agenda promoted in public spaces, and thinking he had freedom of speech in Canada, he expressed his opinion on the matter at his son's school council meeting, which got him expelled, branded a bigot. These stories are a sobering reminder that the grass isn't always greener on the other side. It's time for a reality check. So, let's recap. We've discussed the high living costs, inefficient healthcare, and the culture shock that immigrants face in Canada. The dream may seem alluring, but the reality often falls short. Canada markets itself as one of the best destinations to immigrate to, but this marketing is misleading. Taxes are high, the LGBTQ agenda pervades public spaces, and a deep-seated aversion to confrontation leads to passive aggressiveness. This is not the politeness that's often advertised. Canada's immigration system is broken, and it's crucial that prospective immigrants understand the reality before making the leap. If you are interested in finding out more, consider subscribing to our channel. We will be releasing more videos with more content for you to consider. Information regarding the positive aspects about Canada is widely available, so our focus will be to provide you with the negative aspects to even the scale and help you decide.